So I started my ministry job, what feels in a way like the last nail in the coffin of my dream career. Not that this career was going anywhere really, but I got paid by a stranger to make his dog in a realistic way, something I had never done before. I made some family commissions, but that's it for these last few years. I'm still not sure how I feel about this last nail. I think in a way I still hope for a knight in shining armor on a white stallion that's going to come and get me by the hand and lead me to a studio where I will do exactly what I was hoping to do in a safe and caring environment. Coucou, I'm Mary and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the grief of things that could still exist, such as realistic dreams and relationships, overall grief of potential or of what could have been. After writing some things down, I realized I had too much to say for one video, so today I will only talk about the grieving of my art career, and I leave the rest for another time. So, as I was first saying, I started my ministry job. I'm currently in the training phase, which will last all in all 2.5 months. So we might owe the state some working time afterwards. So that can seem a bit contradictory with the fact that I have not yet made my that I have not yet fully grieved my art career. But it's been 4 years since I've finished my studies, since I have got my bachelor's degree, so yeah, time to move on, I guess. The industry is really bad, as we will see later on, and yeah, time to move on. The ministry I'm in, I think it's the case for a lot of ministry, but you have to pass a selective exam to there's three levels, and I got the lowest one, but I was also I was also going for the middle one. Even if it's not in my field, I still have some ambition left. I don't want to be paid minimum wage all my life, so here we are. When I passed the C exam, that's a bit funny, but I was still waiting for in the levels there's a few steps for each, and I was waiting on the final results for the lowest one, and but I was expecting a bit after the results for the second step of the middle one, and so when the middle one's results came out, I still knew I had something to look for, but I still cried like a baby because I didn't want to learn to train in accounting again for the exam next year. But yeah, that was a bit dramatic of me. It went for a few hours and it was done, but not my proudest moment. I was really hoping I would get in. But, one of the first few realistic thoughts that I had after learning I didn't pass was to think that maybe it was a sign of fate, that maybe it was because I was meant to be delusional, but we never know. We're not there yet. So it was that sorry, that it was a sign of fate, and that I was going to find a job in the 3D art, 3D film animation industry. But I mean, it's not looking good yet. So we'll see. Or maybe I'll just it will just be because I will meet the person of my life with whom I will spend the rest of my days, or maybe it would have been because I would have been too low in the grade or in the ranking, so I would have had to come back in the Parisian region. But yeah, didn't want that. I mean, I don't think I would have refused the exam if I had been assigned in the Parisian region, but yeah, I definitely would have get there walking backwards. To come back to the point, maybe it's a denial delusion or something. But in the end, I don't think I would have enjoyed working this field. The concurrency between all the people. I mean, I heard it's a really there's a really a lot of like people look out for one another, but still a really a competitive field. So there's that, and there's also the fact that studios are implemented in a few cities, and I don't think I like really the cities where they're implemented too. In France, we have Paris, obviously. There's some in Angoulême, a few game studios in Bordeaux too. I really like Bordeaux, but it's such a pricey city. So, and then there's also Toulouse and I think Montpellier. But that's it. There's maybe one studio there and another one there, so it would have implied to move. And for only one studio, it's a lot of work, I think. And if you don't live there, you probably don't have any chance. So yeah, and it's so that's if you if you want to, if you have to work in person, but if you have to work in distance, I'm noisy and I live for the workplace drama, so I'm not really implicated in it. But if you come to me and say, Marie, I have something to say, I will be there sipping my tea. So yeah, I don't think I would have lasted long. So couldn't have been friends. That's also, I do really want to have a side hustle, and I started one, but I don't think I could ever make it my main job, you know. So maybe I will have the occasion to work. I will have to work a distance position, a remote position or something, but we'll see. And for the freelance part, still, I do not really like to enjoy running after people, even less clients. So I don't think I would have made a lot of money that way. So for the side hustle part, I did start an Etsy shop. You have the link here or in my bio. I sell 3D models for you to print or non-commercially use. So I already made a few bucks. I opened it April last year, so April 2024. And I made the money back from the opening fees, so that's a win. And yeah, I made maybe like 40 euros in the year, something close to that. So not a lot, but still better than nothing. I also set up a cult shop a few months ago, so I think they are less pricey. They are cheap. They are slightly cheaper there. If you want to check it out, I will leave it in the bio, my bio, well, in the box below too, and in the bio. So yeah. So yeah, that's how I feel actually about my dream career path plan. How I look back on it right now. This so this to recapitulate, delusional part of me thinking I wouldn't have liked to work it, and either that be in person or remote, and how I feel about doing a freelance freelance work. So yeah, I think if we look about the stages of grief, it might I might be at the acceptance part. I mean, I should be, but I think it also kind of looked like protective denial. So I'm not sure. So if we rewind time and we go all back, we go back all the way to the end of my study. So 4 years ago, I went back to my mother's place and I lived there until mid-March. So I started applying to jobs. I think at the beginning of July, around that time, because I was. And it's a bit ridiculous, but we all go through this. I was afraid of getting blacklisted by making a misstep or something in the mail, which I mean sounds but all this time they say so the industry is very small, and so you expect it. Like, I mean, oh no, I haven't said cordialement at the end of my mail. But yeah, people were kind of kind for those I had contact with. And in the end, I had so a few. I exchanged a few emails with recruiters. I had 3 interviews. One with Buff Company, one with TT Games, and one with a suspicious startup, which I think I could have landed the job, but the test they were making was a bit weird, and I didn't really like it, and I was not sure I would have liked the environment. And I also had Elimination MacGuff on the phone. But yeah, at the beginning of midsummer or around August, you could see it on my social medias, like my Instagram and stuff. I have it pinned on my stories. My school summer projects got shared by Marvelous Designer, one of the programs I used, and by the Rookies, a platform, a social media platform, and they got a lot of likes, like hundreds of likes on each post. So that boosted my confidence, and I was like, oh, so if a Marvelous Designer recognized my skills, surely they can offer me a job. No. But I tried. Because around I don't have the date in mind. I made a technical demo. That's one of my last biggest projects. I made a demo of dress simulation based on Wednesday, the series, because I saw on LinkedIn that they were going to open offices in Paris, and I was like, oh, time to shine. So I think I kind of shined. The video made a few likes on TikTok, so that was good. That was ego boosting. But that's it. They never opened any position for designers or anything, so I was a bit sad. But that was still something. It took me a lot of time, and I loved the result of the dress. The character in the dress made my skin itch, but that's another point. So I re-rendered it without the character in it a few months later, but still no designer position offers. So yeah, coming back to the main plot line, we will call it, wherein I applied to all these jobs. I had a few interviews, a few phone calls, whatever, and we are back in February 2022, and still living at home with my mother. And there's some tensions in the home because I was living with my stepdad too, and I don't think they were seeing how much I was working. I don't think I was working that much too, but I think I was kind of getting depressed. So yeah. So my mother pushed me to apply to some day jobs. So that led me to cry at a McDonald's interview. That's life. Moving on. So I landed a job in a school in back in Bordeaux, so the city I was living in. So I moved back in Bordeaux. I went back to back with this job and a job as a receptionist in a hotel. Those were 4 months in all. 1 month in the first job, 3 months in the second. That's it. Horrible experiences. After those two horrible experiences, I got the job where I stayed for 2.5 years as a seller in a touristy shop with wonderful colleagues. Management were barely there. I mean, I was seeing my manager like she was responsible for a few shops, so sometimes I wasn't seeing her for 2 weeks. Wonderful. The colleagues were so nice. I loved them. I I dreamt of leaving for so many times, but when I finally left, when I knew I had a ministry position, it broke my heart to to leave them. So yeah, no thanks for that. But yeah, it made me realize how much it's important to be with colleagues you love, and or not. I mean, love them is a bit extreme. I got really lucky on that part, but to be in an environment where you feel good, people can love, and those kind of things. During all this time, I still tried to work regularly on my 3D work and applying for jobs and stuff. I got contacted on LinkedIn for something I did not apply for a position I was not qualified to, and the guy tried to sell me 4 positions during the interview. He told me he would call me back by the end of the week. He did not. And when he finally did it, he misspelled my name and thought that my surname was my first name. So I was like you. So hope they crushed. That's a bit mean for me, but yeah. So yeah, back to the 3D work. So I tried really hard to regularly work on my 3D, but as looking back, we can see how I created less ambitious with less and less ambitious projects with time. So yeah. So the last big one being probably Wednesday simulation dress projects. Since character modeling, the specialty I was looking forward to work into is a small field in a not so big a field. I tried at a few points to diverge and specialize into 3D animation. I think I had something, but it would have needed much more work for me to got really better. So and I wasn't capable of sticking to it. Like I was still trying to at the same time do some character modeling work and some 3D animation work, all the while having full-time job with really irregular hours, so really hard to have a routine. So yeah, I did some animations I'm still kind of proud of as of today. If you dig in the internet, I think I still have the demoreel on my Vimeo. So if you get lucky, maybe I'll remember to put the link in the box. So yeah, I did apply to a few animations or layout position. No success on that part, not even a phone call, an email, or nothing. So yeah, that's for trying. And the whole time I could see on social media, just you see, the industry will get better in 3 months. Just you wait. You repeat that every 3 months. So like in March it was like, no, but it will get better in September. Don't worry, no. It did not. I mean, I think I believed it for like a good 2 years. And so at first it was normal, like I was not really I did not know the industry well, so I believed it. But then there was a part where that after that it was just delusion. You know. I mean, I also thought that with that I'm sure I knew I wasn't the best, but I was not bad either. So I thought that I was, at just a few levels under the top of the the top choices. So if the industry got even slightly better, I could land a job and appear like in the best ones, I so that I just got buried deeper and deeper by students finishing their studies, seniors getting laid, and my skill not keeping up. So that's it. I mean, I probably could have tried harder, but at the same time, if you need to sacrifice your mental health to get somewhere, there's no saying you won't need to sacrifice even more of it to stay where you are. So bad math. I had so many breakdowns during that time too, crying of anger or sadness or both, depending on the day. Crying about the schools, blaming them for selling this false ideal. Those 90% of students finding jobs 3 months after graduating, not saying that how many of them got jobs in their fields, how many registered as as freelancers or something, but not making enough money to live by and pay rent and stuff, and how many got day jobs too. So that's a bit sad. I mean, one day I was so angry. I was at work, but I still had time to check on this, and I was waiting for clients. So I looked on schools' websites and I tried to analyze where the numbers were coming from. And for the first school I went in, there was just no justifications on how many students they made their stats from, when that was from, or that nothing. The second was a satisfaction number. So I know for a fact, I mean, I stopped at year 3 when you could, and they encouraged you to go all the way to year 5. And so I didn't receive any satisfaction survey or anything. And I think I too would have been in denial if I had made all the 5 years, spent so much money, because it was, we will say, 7 or 8 even more K a year. So I too would have been in delusion, like, yeah, the classes were great, I'm sure I will find a job and stuff. Um, because I would hope to, I mean, at that price. And I mean, there's also the fact that I mean, for the schools I went in, I think there's so many students the first years, just the first year, and why are the time less at the end of the formation? Like, where did they go? There's no justification on that. I would love to see a study on this. Like, why did they stop during the year while I was in third year? The two students left before the end of the year. I think one was because of something with probably both money problems. The fact also that this school got us to pay the whole year at once, or you had 500 euros of paper stuff. If you wanted to pay monthly, you had to pay like 500 more total. So that's a bit sick. Not a big fan, you. I saw a school that was realistic in their stats about why, like, how many worked that field, how many this one, no, if it was day jobs or not. So yeah. For the animation industry, there was this boom of employment in around COVID, so 2020. So some schools still got the stats from 2020 displayed. I mean, I haven't checked now, but I saw a school who was still having their stats from 2020 when we were in 2024. So that's a bit sus. In a way, I still feel conflicted by how much I wanted to work in this field, and but how I feel, how cheated I feel about the schools, and how maybe I had no chance really in since the beginning. It was a fool's errand, and it still kind of make me want to cry. I think I completely lost hope of getting a job. A real job, like conventional one in studios and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I never really made any 3D before starting school. Like, I had a book on Blender, the old version, but so I started it, but never done much. I did, so yeah, but I did really loved learning about it, and I still plan on making. I have plans on making music video clips. So stay tuned. I mean, probably won't come out before next year, so but stay tuned still. So yeah, I have this. I still want to make some figurines for Christmas for my family, so I have to get started on that to make sure to have them to print them out soon enough for Christmas, like I did for the last two ones. I also made figurines, so I was working cannoli jobs, so I made some small cannolis that I printed out for my colleagues, and I before printing them, I engraved the names in them, so it was cute. They loved them, and some cried. Bisous, Joséphine. There's this, I don't know if it's A or longing but something like that about doing 3D or nostalgia. I'm not sure. In a way, I got lucky because all in all, it cost me 22K because only 3 years. But I got some insurance money the summer of my third year, like after the third year. So I had a choice of continuing my studies or reimbursing my loan in full, my student loan in full, because I made the loan because I did not I did not have that kind of money, and I chose to repay my loan because so there was the insurance money and I had some money from my mother, so I was really lucky on that part. I do not regret not making it to 5 years. So since because there's I think only 2 people who have I worked with who have still regular position. I mean, there's one in that left in a third year and never still in the still in the job they got at that time, and the other one made it to 5 years, but he had this hobby of making films with friends, but like I mean with time they got really good. I mean they were really funny at first, but with memes and things they got like really better. So good for him, good for both of them. The other ones who did not who made it to year 5 and still do not got jobs when it had been already a year. It just kind of shown. I mean, it might sound a bit egoistical, but it showed me that I was not the problem since the beginning. That I mean, I was maybe doomed to fail, or I would have needed to be really, really good, or found a way to be really more regular about my 3D work when I left. On the grief of other people, my mother regularly told me that about how before ending up in the same ministry position that I am now, she wanted to be a math teacher, and she went through so many hoops to get there, because she won't detail I mean I could in French, but I'm not starting down that path in English, but she made so many hoops to get to the exams, and I think she failed it twice, and she probably would have gotten it if she had passed it these days, but at the time it was like 10% success rate, so maybe she was kind of doomed to start too, doomed to fail since the beginning too, but she tried, and she doesn't regret trying, and she found this position where there's she still gets to manipulate numbers, and she still got to teach people, to animate teaching sessions, but I think she got the better end of it, because she now teach to adults when she would have taught middle schoolers or high schoolers, which got really bad rep in France. So she won in the change, I think, could say that. So it's the fact that she got from teaching math in a high school, middle school, to a sort of public accounting position doesn't seem far-fetched, but doesn't seem far-fetched for her, but I'm coming from a license in the arts. It's a bit weird for me, I think. But I also think that if I had not went into 3D animation, I would have ended up in a physics license. So I still would have manipulated numbers, I think. So it's a kind of another. I can see accounting as in sort of another way of manipulating numbers, like applied math, if you can say. So because I had my high school diploma in science. I was a bit dramatic when at the beginning I was saying that I did not want to go through working on accounting again. So, the hard part was to I was a okay student, so I was doing the bare minimum and the bare minimum. I was learning some things sometimes. The side, my mother would say I was never doing anything, but yeah, my sister was a better student than I was, and I still had a mention with my high school diploma, so that's still better than no mention. But so I worked. I kind of work still, but yeah. So for the accounting on the exam, I had to do it alone. I had never done accounting before in my life, but I still had the help of my sister for some points, where I would ask her. I was working on accounting some mornings when I had no clients at work. So random Saturday morning, she would wake up with 3 vocal message from me asking her what's wrong with, with this part or some things. But yeah, so I had 5.5 out of 20. So that's I mean, I was aiming for 6. My sister, after some white exams, thought I could reach for 10, but my goal was 6 because under 5 you're eliminated. No questions asked. Even if I had the correct the enough points to go to go to the next step, if I had under 5 on accounting, I'm not going anywhere. So yeah, but yeah, so that's, I think for the first time it was honorable. I kind of can't wait to do it again. That's a bit weird for me to say. So yeah, but beginner's mistake. I still realized before the end the mistake I made, but it was too late for me to correct it. So I left messages to the correctors to please be kind. I realized my mistake. That's the first step to redemption, I guess. But yeah, I was a bit dramatic about never wanting to do accounting ever again. That's still numbers. That's still kind of fun. So yeah, yeah. Thanks to my sister for her help. She actually told me that if I'm affected in the city I want, which is the city she's living in, she could make me some accounting lessons. So that could be fun. I'm not sure about the fun part, but that's too interesting. So yeah, and it's also the fact that I started learning. I started studying for the exam around mid-October, beginning of November, for an exam that was middle of January. So yeah, honorable mention, I guess. To come back to the stages of grief, I think the first 6 months was the natural course of events, where I applied to jobs, got into a few interviews, continued working on my portfolio. But at the beginning, at the end of 2021, it started to turn into desperation, which kind of turned in the denial by the end of 2022. And after that, I think that I had alternated the phases of anger, bargaining, and depression. The anger being the breakdown about the schools and the industry not recruiting juniors or all of this. The bargaining being the failed attempt at reconversions from character modeling to animations. And the depression being straight up phases of depression, not working on 3D for weeks at times. But yeah, and I'm not sure, but I think the acceptance might have started when I first applied to the ministry exam or when I opened my Etsy shop. Donc voilà, I am Mary and this was my failing story and how I kind of overcame it. Thank you for listening, and with so many success stories available out there, I still hope, I hope, some of you may have been able to resonate with me, and I will gladly read if you have any comments you want to make or experiences you want to share on the comments. I would gladly read them. So yeah, bonne journée, bisous.